So, people being pleased out there. Marijuana users in New York City have one less thing to be paranoid about. New York City Council passed a groundbreaking measure yesterday that prevents most companies from testing employees for marijuana use. Passing by a vote of 40-4, the bill stands to ease hurdles for New Yorkers seeking employment and speak to the changing views on cannabis. As we noted on yesterday's show, marijuana use among American workers has risen to a 14-year high as more and more states weigh legalizing recreational marijuana. For more on how the times are a-changin', we're joined by actor and comedian turned entrepreneur Tommy Chong, who runs his own line of cannabis products through his brand, Chong's Choice. Tommy, thanks so much for taking the time.
Oh, my pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I guess I want to start just by asking, in terms of taking a step back and looking at how far things have come in terms of marijuana legalization, or big retailers now selling CBD products, and even Martha Stewart putting her name behind some cannabis products with Canadian company Canopy Growth. Are you surprised at all at how the rate of people warming to cannabis has accelerated lately?
Well, I'm surprised how complicated it was, to get where we're at now. I thought once they would legalize it, that's it. That's the end of it. But everybody's trying to cash in on it. And because marijuana was such a cash cow for the law enforcement people, where they would forfeiture laws and all that. And so a lot of places, the law enforcement especially, they have to adjust. It's kind of ironic, because marijuana prohibition was added when liquor prohibition ended. And so now I guess everybody's looking for what the new prohibition is going to be. But I'm really happy the way the marijuana thing, especially me, because I got a great job with Chong's Choice. I'm the head tester.
All right, that's one thing to do there. Tommy, I also wanted to ask, because you mentioned the laws. In terms of legalization, I think a lot of people were expecting more to be done in terms of criminal justice reform on that front. Of course, you served time in prison because of something that's not even a crime anymore in terms of selling products tied to smoking. So what do you think about that, though? Are you surprised that more has not been done on a front that I think a lot of people were excited about in terms of changing the way that these laws are enforced, or people who have been penalized before?
No, I'm not surprised at all, because the penal system has always been one-sided, very racist in America, and it still is. And it's getting there, but people like like Jeff Sessions, when he was opposed to marijuana of any kind, that kind of mentality has to disappear, and it'll take a while, but it's on its way. The thing is, it's not so much, the marijuana is really hot right now, but the really product that's going to change the world is CBD oil. And that's what we're invested in quite a bit, because it has no THC, and so it can be sold in drugstores or anywhere, 7-Eleven, everywhere.
Yeah, that's what we've seen, because even just yesterday, Rite Aid came out and said they were going to add it in 2 states in terms of following CVS, and Walgreens also selling it. Some major retailers. I'm still talking to Target about what their plans are to do there. But in terms of CBD, I mean, why do you think that is? That it's taken, obviously this year we saw it decriminalized. We saw it taken off the Schedule I list of drugs. So it can be sold, like you mentioned, a little bit easier than all these other drugs. But why do you think that there's a bigger opportunity there for people who might not want to smoke but are interested in the health benefits of CBD? I mean, what are you trying to do to kind of capitalize on that rush?
Well, absolutely. You see, CBD oil, it works so well on so many levels, health-wise. And it's a safe thing. Like marijuana itself is the healthiest sleep aid on the market. And everybody I know, in fact, the new face of marijuana is going to be old ladies that take it every night so they can go to sleep. And there's so many health benefits of pot. And, the humanity has known about it forever. China, 5,000 years ago, they were prescribing it for menstrual cramps. And so, we've sort of, America, was so tied up with the racial issue, since the Civil War with slavery and everything else. And so that's disappearing. It's slowly but surely disappearing. And I say it's all about, it's because of marijuana.
Got it.
Because marijuana is an equal opportunity drug, or substance. Everybody uses it and everybody benefits from it.
No, I don't know about everybody using it, but sure, there are certainly people who do use it. There's some that don't.
Tommy, this is Jeannie here. I'm wondering, with all of the cities that are rolling out with such a progressive response, as a business owner, what do you think? What is your take on whether or not private companies should dictate their hiring policies on their own, especially with drug testing?
Well, no, yeah, you got to get into the modern world, like you got to. Get rid of all the propaganda that was been spread forever, how marijuana was so evil and all that stuff, that has to change. And there's, like I say about the racism, it's still in America, as we can tell from, from the top up of our government. So, that has to change. And what's changed everything? It's the cell phone. See, the cell phone changed everything, because now when anybody says anything, you can fact check on your cell phone as they talk. Mm-hmm. And that's the big thing. When people ask me, what should I do with marijuana and everything, I tell them, Google it, do the research, find out. And that's what's happening in the world today. And that's why everything's changing. And it's changing so fast that if you don't stay up with the change, you're going to be left behind. And companies, just like the telephone company, there was landlines at one time. Everybody had a landline, and no one ever thought it was going to change.
I don't have a landline anymore. I'll give you that.
Nobody does.
And Tommy, this is Jack Brewer. I'm a former NFL player, and I'm very upfront. I smoke marijuana too.
Of course.
And it's something that I've replaced opioids with. I've had 9 surgeries myself. I have arthritis all over my body. I've had concussions, and I have all kinds of health issues from playing football. But marijuana has helped me. And so, but
yes.
One thing that I want to make sure that we do realize is that as much as we want to point a finger at this current administration, they really have done more to help free up a lot of people that look just like me. I got cousins and family members that have done 20 and 30 years in the penitentiary. I have some that are still there. But the First Step Act took a big step towards decriminalizing a lot of these issues. In addition to that, the Trump administration did pass the Farm Bill. So I just like to look at it from a policy perspective. I think the country is moving in the right direction, but I'm with you, man. We need more CBD, we need more marijuana versus all these opioids, because we have a crisis. We're losing over 150 kids a day from opioids when you can replace a lot of those things with CBD and marijuana. So big advocate of what you're doing, man. Keep it up.
Thank you. Well, there you go. You see, right now, marijuana is still illegal. You can't bank your marijuana money. The banks won't take it yet, because it's federally, it's still a Schedule 1. Mm-hmm. And that has to change. That should have been changed years ago, but it should be changed now. And it hasn't been changed now. Yeah, I agree. Trump, did the prison reform. Great. But now legalize it so that you can bank your money, so you can treat it like it's not, an evil substance.
Yeah, Tommy, let me ask you this though, because we got to wrap up, and if you want to come back on, we'll have you back on, because it sounds like you got a lot of people agreeing with you here. But I just wanted to ask you in terms of, I know you have Chong's Choice, but when you look at the overall market in terms of, some of these names out there, Canopy, as well as Aurora, Tilray, we talk about all these kind of darlings in the investment market. I mean, is there one that you watch kind of closely and say, all right, they're doing something right, that's a good company, or is it just kind of the space in general is seeing money flow in?
It's still in its infant stage, and it's still in a very tricky stage, the stock especially. I've got friends, that, well, the Canadian stock market is a tricky place to play around in. So I would caution everybody to really do your research before you put money into any kind of marijuana stock. That's what I've been told, and I've been in the business forever, and and I'll take risks, but be very careful. Do your research. Use that cell phone. Check out check it out, man. That's
All
what you
right.
got to do.
All right, Tommy Chong, we'll have to have you back on because there's a lot more to discuss. Thanks so much for taking the time today, though.
I'll teach you everything you need to know.